All right, so 6.3 work together. It says LMK Industries offers its customers N30 credit terms. The turnover ratio for the prior year was 6.4. The following account balances were obtained from LMK Industries records for the current year. So they give us accounts receivable, allowance for uncollectible accounts, and net sales on account. So direction number 1 says we're going to calculate the accounts receivable turnover ratio for the current year. So they've set this up for us. So really we're filling in numbers and then computing some numbers. So first we're going to do our total accounts receivable for the beginning. So they give that to us in the directions. That's going to be 126,468.15. Okay? And then it says that we need to subtract from that the allowance for uncollectible accounts at the beginning. So that's going to be 4,123.27. Okay, so we'll subtract those two numbers to get our book value for the beginning. And so that gives us 122,344.88. Okay, we're going to do the exact same thing, except this is going to be our ending. Again, they give these numbers to us in the directions. So our first one is 135,643.58. And then our allowance for uncollectible accounts ending is 5,754.77. Subtract those two numbers. And that gives us 129,888.81. Okay, and then here it's asking us for our beginning book value of accounts receivable. So that's the number that we figured out up above. So 122,344.88. We're going to add to it our ending book value of accounts receivable. So 129,888.81. And then it tells us we're going to divide by 2, so they have us put in 2 again. So we'll add those two numbers together, those beginning book and ending book value. And then we'll divide that by 2. And so our average book value then is $126,116.85. Okay, next we're looking for our net sales on account. So they give that to us in our directions. So net sales on account is going to be $847,386.56. We're then going to divide that by our average book value of 116.85. Okay, and that gives us our accounts receivable turnover ratio, which is 6.7. All right, so direction number 2 says we're going to calculate the days sales in accounts receivable. So again, they've kind of set this up for us. So days in a year, 365. The accounts receivable turnover ratio, which we figured out up above, so 6.7. And then days sales in accounts receivable, we're going to simply divide those two numbers. So 365 divided by 6.7, that gives us 54. So we'll just round that 54. Okay, so then it has us fill in some information. So LMK Industries has blank the time required to collect the average account receivable. So has it reduced the time or has it increased the time? So they do tell us the prior year was at 6.4 and now we are at 6.7. So we have reduced the time. One way, if we need to look that over, so really when we look at our days sales and accounts receivable, if we were to take last year, so 365 divided by that 6.4, that's 57 days. And now we are down to 54 days. Okay? It says with N30 credit terms, LMK Industries is going to still need to or doesn't need to improve its collection of accounts receivable. It looks like it still needs to improve its collection because we want it to be within those 30 days and we are at 54. Okay, so we still need to improve. We've gotten a little better because like last year it was at 57 days. Now we're at 54, a little better, but we need to increase that still. And the last one, it says the business needs to modify its collection procedures, including conducting less or more rigorous credit checks on new customers. So this might be one where they do more rigorous credit checks that might help for them to decrease the amount of days. Okay, so that is it for 6-3. I'm going to check my answer. And everything looks good, so you can move on to the 6-3 work together. That was the end of chapter 6. So after the 6-3 on your own, you can then move on to the chapter 6 application problem.